Hey people of the VC, it's Andy aka Cloudy Milder back for an 80s update, long overdue 80s update. I think it's been about a month since I've done one of these and I picked up a lot of cool stuff, more than I can actually show in this one. But I'll see what I can get through and let me know what you think. So first up, there's a couple of items that I had in VCLT over the last 5-6 weeks. That I just want to show in here as they're in the 80s category just for completeness. So the first up was album I got from Blackmore Rules, Greg the Egg, Headpins. So this is 1982 Canadian pressing, solid gold records, female fronted hard rock band from the early 80s. Really good. This is the other stuff that Greg sent me. If I had to choose a favourite, this would be it. I've picked up some other sort of female-fronted hard rock since still one of my other videos. Picked up a couple of Thunder Mother albums as well, and you know this fits in with that category. Very good stuff. Where am I going to put these? Okay, so there's the label. Very cool. Thanks again for that, Greg. Much appreciated. Yesterday, was it yesterday or Friday? I can't remember. This weekend has flown by. Got some great VCLT from Scott Waters. Now, you might have seen me, well, when I opened it up, one of the albums was an Artch album, Norwegian speed metal band from the late 80s. And I don't know if you picked up, I kind of looked a bit confused when I was opening it, and there was a reason for that. So this is the album that Scott, I've still got the notes on it, they don't know, Scott got me, Another Return to Church Hill, and I didn't recognise the name at all. I know the band, and just presumed it was maybe a follow-up album to the one I've already got, actually, which is Artch. So Scott sent me the US pressing entitled Another Return to Church Hill. This is 1989 on Metal Blade, and I already had the UK pressing, which is just called Another Return. Different typeface on the name of the album. The image is pretty much the same, but it's a little bit more zoomed in on the US pressing. Different typeface on the back. Been a while since I actually listened to this album, so hence my confusion. But it is that good an album that I am more than happy to own a second pressing of it. So there we go. That's the Metal Blades label from the US pressing, and Active Records on the UK pressing. So thank you very much again for that, Scott. I will treasure that, and I say it's a good enough album to have two pressings on it, so I certainly won't be looking to pass it on or get rid of it anytime soon. Right, now moving on. So these other albums I've got now, I've got quite a stack, about 7 or 8 maybe. These are items, records that I've picked up probably most of these in the last 6 weeks or so. What I tend to do is I don't just buy them and show them. I like to listen to them, you know, 2 or 3 times first, get a feel for them. They sit in an inbox I have down here, and then when I've listened to them a few times, or the inbox is filling up too much, they go into the shelf or up on the other shelf I've got here. So these are the ones that are graduating to the shelf right now. What do we have first? Okay, so this is one that gets shown a lot. I think a lot of people are familiar with this. So Kingdom Come, this is the self-titled album from 1988. This is the UK pressing on Polydor. Nothing exciting to show inside, it's just a plain white cover, standard Polydor label. Excellent condition. I picked this up off Discogs. Cost me a £5, but probably, that may have been a little bit too much, but there was a, it's often said as well with this one that a lot of people compared Kingdom Come to Led Zeppelin, and I know that put a lot of people off buying this record because they didn't want a Led Zeppelin clone. It put me off the record as well, but then at the time I wasn't into Led Zeppelin at all. I was never really into the early 70s hard rock. In the 80s, and so that's why this put me off. Is because it's not that I didn't want another band that sounded like Led Zeppelin. It's that I didn't want a band that sounded like Led Zeppelin in the first place. So I picked up a copy of it now. I thought I'd give it a go, and I really like it. I can see what people mean by the Led Zeppelin references now, but to me it sounds, most of it sounds like an 80s album rather than an early 70s revival by any means. 2 or 3 tracks on here I really like. I think it was 17, The Shuffle, Get It On. Ones that maybe put me off, probably not surprised to hear from my usual rants, is the ballad, What Love Can Be. I find it a little bit cheesy, but then a lot of metal's cheesy. But this has got a lot of good sing-along ability along with it, and I'm happy that I've now got a copy and it's in my collection. So there we go, Kingdom Come, self-titled. Next up, Accept, Russian Roulette from 1986. This is actually a Belgian pressing on Indisc Records. Again in excellent condition. A little bit of shelf wear on the album, and there's a bit of cracking here where clearly the previous owner has gone in and to access the records. There's like a thumb crack there. I think this is their 7th album. I think this was one that came after Metal Heart. So it sounds pretty well produced, but to me it sounds a little bit rawer than Metal Heart was. Maybe a little less commercial. This was Udo's last album with Accept, certainly during the 80s. As the band sort of wanted to go in different directions. Some wanted to go with a more commercial sounding, and I think Udo wanted to go with a more raw metal sound of the early Accept back catalogue. But this is a good album. I really like it. There's a lot of anti-war songs on here. There's a few other songs as well on here that I read the lyrics and I haven't got a Scooby-Doo what they're talking about. So here's the vinyl. Nothing too exciting. Indisc Records. I'm only showing this because I've not seen an Indisc before, but just a standard label. Nothing customised on there at all. And I originally thought it was a UK pressing, but a lot of UK presses in the 80s didn't come with separate lyric sheets. The lyrics always tended to be on the inner, but this just has a plain white sheet of paper with the lyrics on. But yeah, some great tracks on here. Which one was it? Yeah, Russian Roulette. I mean, not it's a good track, but I don't know whether they came up with the name of the album after. But just reading through the lyrics, Russian Roulette mentions nothing about Russian Roulette at all, and it looks like the song should have been called War Games. But there you go, just a irrelevant observation on my part. Who knows? Probably always meant to be called Russian Roulette all along. Right, what do we have next? Next we have a little bit of a, I think it's a bit of a gem, a bit of a find. I'd never heard of this band before, and also since I've picked this up, I can find little or nothing about them on the internet either. They seem to have come along in 1985, released one album, and pretty much disappeared. So this is World War III, self-titled album, 1985, as I say, on Axe Killer Records. It's in excellent condition. It cost me, I think, £7.50. But when I've looked online for other copies, they're going for about, well, they're going for double that, pretty much. But that may well be. I mean, I don't know whether they have. This just came with a plain white sleeve, and looks fairly new. So I guess there was either a picture in a sleeve or a lyric sheet in other copies. But I've never come across this before, so if I do, I'll have to have a look at that again. There we go. I mean, 1985 was, you know, a peak really for heavy metal. There were a lot of great bands around at the moment, and I think this holds its head up really well. I'm so surprised that there wasn't any more material by these, but maybe the heavy metal market was getting saturated at the time. Clearly, it has some influences. There's one of the songs, I can't remember which one it is actually. The end of it just makes me think of the Iron Maiden sort of sound style from Power Slave. So it's clearly they've got influenced by other bands, as were a lot, I guess. Side one is brilliant. I really like side one. I've listened to that over and over and over again. It's got 3 tracks on it: War is Hell, Final Solution, and Call of the Wild. And they're all really good quality heavy metal tracks. Side 2 starts a little bit rough. It's got 4 tracks on it, but there's still A Night Away and Gypsy as Eyes, a very kind of generic and very inspiring metal. But Red Alert and Playing the Fire finish the album off well. This is on Axe Killer Records, and yeah, so the band itself is made up of it's a 4-piece, Tipper Spars on vocals, John Theodora. So I found out that he actually went on to play with Wasted for a short time, and 2 brothers as well. So there's Gary Hammer and Dan Hammer. Now, Gary is clearly the older brother because he got the cool nickname Sledge, Gary Sledgehammer. Dan, on the other hand, his nickname's not open here, but as a little brother, I'm guessing his nickname was probably something like Tack, and clearly he's a bit upset about that, not having the cool nickname, so he's not put his on the album. But yeah, I mean, if anyone else heard about this one, so it was new to me. It was a bit of a blind buy. I was kind of intrigued by the cover, very heavy metal, if you ask me. The name of the artist on the back is Martin Cannon. Again, couldn't find anything about them at all, but it just seems very, very strange with this kind of pregnant lady with cosmic shit going around her head. And I don't know, but not a very heavy metal looking album at all. Maybe that was part of the reason. Maybe this just didn't sell very well, so they didn't get a second album. But there we go. World War III self-titled album, very, very good heavy metal. There is some clips on YouTube. Recommend you check it out if you've not heard of these. Next up, I have 3 Saxon albums. I'm doing well now on my 80's Saxon vinyl collection. I'm just missing Innocent now. But so last few weeks I've picked up a copy of Strong Arm of the Law. This is a 1980 original UK pressing, the original lineup. Some great tracks on here, probably one of my favourite Saxon albums actually. Heavy Metal Thunder, Strong Arm of the Law, Hell and Back Again, 20,000 Feet, Six Form Girls. Great early Saxon, can't beat it. Vinyl itself, just standard Carrere records with a Saxon logo on there. Next up, in fact, these albums are all 4 years apart. So next up, 4 years later, Saxon Crusader. Who dares battle the Saracen? Cover's in pretty good condition. It does have a split. Oh, thought it did. Yeah, it does have a bit of a split at the top. Again, another good, solid Saxon album. A lot more commercial sounding than their earlier stuff, following the trend of heavy metal at the time. Some slower tempo songs on here. I say that was the way metal was moving in the mid-80s. Also some very cheesy metal on here. Rock City. Bit cringeworthy, but yeah, there we go. And this one has Nigel Glocker on drums, so it was his second outing with the band. But happy to pick that one up. Again, very similar looking generic Carrere Records Saxon label. Oh, also had the got the merch slip. I didn't realise it actually had the merchandise slip, but as you can see, it was by the fold here. It was tucked well within the gatefold. I only found it actually the other day when I was looking through. It's the address and prices have been cut off at the bottom, so clearly the previous owner was a big Saxon fan, and I don't know what he ordered. Maybe it was the belt or the wristband or one of the t-shirts. But you know, when you're part of the Saxon militia guard, you've got to have the gear. And what? Finally, 4 years after that, Destiny. Now, thankfully, this wasn't Saxon's Destiny in the long run. This is 1988, UK pressing on EMI. Now, things obviously got tough in the 1980s. Clearly, again, following the trends of some of the bands with using guitar synths. Maybe didn't do as good a job as, say, Maiden with it, even though I'm still not a big fan of Maiden's. Still not a fan of a Maiden's journey down that way as well. But yeah, there's not too much great tracks on here. There's a couple. So For Whom the Bells Toll and Red Alert, you know, they're kind of classic. They've got the classic Saxon sound, and it kind of redeemed this album a little bit. I mean, I like it, but it's not my Saxon. So on here we have, again, there's the different lineup here. There's Paul Johnson on bass. So this was the first album he actually played on, but he was credited on Rock the Nations. But he didn't actually play on that. I believe the Biff actually played bass on Rock the Nations. And we've got Nigel Durham on drums as well. And this is the only album from Saxon that includes both Durham and Johnson on the album. But yeah, it's nice condition. I want to have all of Saxon's 80s vinyl on records on vinyl, so I don't think this will get played a lot, to be honest with you. Inner sleeve is in superb condition. I kind of get the impression that maybe the previous owner thought the same as me and didn't play it a lot either. But we've got lyrics, and we've got track listings. And we have not an EMI label this time, but again, very generic label with just the Saxon logo on it. There we go. What, 7 or 8 80s records I've added to my collection in the last 5 or 6 weeks. Let me know your thoughts. I like it when people tell me their opinions, especially when they may be different from mine, and why. Let me know what you think about these. Any memories you have about them, all great to hear. Yeah, so I'll cut it off there. There's try and get another 80s update out soon. I picked up quite a few new albums at a record fair yesterday in Edinburgh, so I'm going to do a separate video just on those pickups towards the end of next week when I've had a chance to listen through to everything. I'm way behind on my 80s 3 Random Records series. I've got enough numbers to last me another 2 or 3 episodes of that, so I need to get cracking with those. So there'll be plenty of content and material coming out over the next month. Thank you guys for watching. I had a load of new subscribers over the last couple of weeks, and I hope and keep you interested. So again, thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Cheers.